After a very rocky Battlefield 5, the developer DICE set out to make the biggest, bestest Battlefield game ever. Including a love letter to one of its most iconic moments in the franchise, Battlefield 2042 was going to be the one battlefield to rule them all. And just like Sauron in Lord of the Rings, DICE decided to drop its pants and stick their collective dicks into the wasp's nest and proceed to do the helicopter.
Welp.
Battlefield.
Another year of disappointment.
So, straight off the bat, not to waste your time, I think you should consider waiting on this one. I think hardcore fans might be happy if some certain things are patched.
There is no effort that went into Battlefield 2042, and I still gave it a 60%. What a fucking idiot. I believed that there was a fun game there underneath all of the bugs and neglect. A fun game that was plagued by a rushed release. But I was wrong. This is like one of those I can fix him situations. It was just pure fucking delusion.
Awful player netcode results in rubber banding and abysmal hit registration. The balancing is dreadful. Bugs everywhere. And the game just generally feels off. Also, where was the voice chat? A scoreboard? Anyone?
What the hell is even that?
This was looking real bad.
Player numbers plummeted harder and faster than Su-34 jet fighters in certain parts of the world. In the first few weeks it bore a hole straight through the center of the earth, so furiously that it actually rejuvenated both Battlefield 1 and 5, whose player numbers overtook this misbegotten glue-sniffing excrement. However, after the launch backlash, DICE kept its head down and proceeded to slowly unfuck the situation. After 2 years of unfuckination, they launched the first free-to-play weekend, and people poured back into the game in bigger numbers than even on the launch. Was this the kick in the twisted testicles that the game needed? Was it finally, quote-unquote, fixed? Nope! So, what the fuck happened? And while 2042 has active player base, with the second free-to-play weekend arriving along with the new Battle Pass season, is it really how DICE is going to save 2042? Just more content and free weekends? Now, unlike my usual suspects for the series, 2042 isn't exactly a failure, you might say. It still has active player base while pouring over Steam charts, you might say. And you are right. However, don't be fooled. There's more to the story that we can learn from. So, let's take a look at the failures of Battlefield 2042, shall we? We start the story with me. I come from Counter-Strike camp into the Call of Duty, and until the fateful Battlefield play for free that was closer to a malignant tumor than an actual game, I only knew of Battlefield from those amazing animations on YouTube and cool Bad Company trailers.
Just shut up! Breach that door! Okay.
Later I had the chance to try out the open beta for Battlefield 4, which blew me away with the evolution of that skyscraper, and later down the line also really fun open beta for Battlefield 1. Being a PlanSide 2 veteran, a massive server, open maps, all that appealed to me. So when the time came for 2042 open beta, I jumped into it, and honestly kinda liked it. What a naive piece of shit was I.
Players have documented a whole host of issues, from weapons and characters not loading, to enemy players freezing instead of falling down when they die. Sometimes scopes just don't magnify, or you can't revive a teammate because the prompt never appears on screen.
Do you want to know how to make a very bad video game? Do you want to know how to quickly destroy a franchise? Do you want to know how to antagonize and betray your existing fans?
I wonder how BF 2042 is doing on Steam.
I'll wait for a patch.
Fanbase, and most importantly, real game reviewers, as in YouTubers, not the sellout cunts calling themselves gaming journalists, quickly identified a lot of problems with the game. Even though for my Battlefield virgin ass, gameplay seemed quite good, with 2042, DICE shifted away from the class-based shooter that was just as iconic to the franchise as big player count servers, instead opting for a fucking hero shooter, with operators and their unique skills and powers. Excuse me!
We could win this, sir. Objectives are
Was that the takedown or was that the takedown?
That was something, right? Yeah, Angel does it again. Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
To many, this felt like a betrayal. Many claimed that along with the class replacement with operators, developers DICE were attempting to basically ape what Call of Duty and other trendy shooters were trying to do. And, you know, they exactly weren't wrong either. When I asked my die-hard Battlefield friend, his pet peeves on the launch were, among many other things, the fucking armor plate mechanic and the sprinting speeds, which sped up the gameplay to function closer to what Call of Duty was pushing further with the Modern Warfare reboots. You know, shit like this. You see, for me, Battlefield always associated with more massive big battles, silly combined arms moments, and generally more tactical gameplay than twitch movement shooting. I certainly can see how 2042 decided to abandon part of its identity for what seems to be basically trend chasing and gimmicky appeal for a wider audience. Sure, I love the wingsuit, but even back in the open beta, the lackluster revolution, or rather near complete lack of it.
It's the tiny little antenna that falls down, and then the antenna falls. When in previous Battlefield, the entire fucking skyscraper would come.
Frankly, felt pathetic. Was this even Battlefield anymore? And this is coming from me, a complete outsider. Even I question the game's identity now. And this was the very first failure that permeates the game even to this day. Sure, there are big battles, but the shift in gameplay, speed, focus on operators, and small other little changes just came together to simply not feel like a real Battlefield experience. After the launch, it was clear, not only that it didn't feel like a Battlefield game, but the quality, too, was called into question. The bugs... What? What is this net code? What kind of server did I... Oh yeah, everything's hitching, lagging. Okay, yeah, that's lovely. Oh yeah, the further the match goes, the hitchier... Oh yeah, lovely. Oh, yeah, okay, my character is glitched as well, so that's wonderful. Yeah, I need help indeed. Wait, what? Why was that? Oh, what the f... Again, I don't think I'm in American server. Even in American server, I shouldn't be getting this kind of stuttery, hitchy... What? The performance and other... issues permeated the game for months. There is no doubt that for a massive company like DICE and EA to release 2042 in an abysmal state that it was, deserved all the negative reception it got and then some. Oh, and for shits and giggles, I then looked up how much did DICE and EA throw on the fire to make this crap. Excuse me, what? First off, how? Second of all, how the fuck? Oh, I see. So basically the failure of 2042 caused the overall share prices in EA to drop by 2 billion. Not that it cost the game. Check your sources, god fucking damn it. So yeah, no wonder that this was a big part of why the game flopped so hard, and thus takes the spot of number 2 failure. And this made it especially heart-wrenching when 2042 was touted to be the battlefield of all the battlefields, with the Portal bringing in so many of the past games into this one singular sandboxy experience. It looked like it would be the pinnacle of the series. Instead, it was a minimum viable product that even failed to be viable. And of course, in big part, the fact that maps sucked ass, like really sucked ass, didn't help.
There is no cover in this game. I don't care how bad your specialist system is or how fun your weapons are to use. If you are having to run out in the open for 500 meters and there is nothing to hide behind, of course it's going to be frustrating.
And while it is better today, the time came for the first free-to-play weekend. When me and my mate tried it, it went so poorly that we almost uninstalled the game in the first 30 minutes. But we'll get to that. Oh, we will get to that! But first, let me ask you, what the fuck is the tone of 2042? On launch, a lot of people already made fun of the operators and their stupid
Angel does it again! Angel, 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 angel.
However, a bigger, weirder smell and taste in everyone's mouth was left by the story, or rather lack thereof. Okay, so I guess you have America versus Russia. Okay, how original. Right, so the source was non-patrioted, I guess. Flank only hope is locating him, meaning joined to non-pats. Oh, but wait! Operators are from many countries, and they are non-pats, expats, non-aligned mercenaries. So that you can have American soldier fighting against American army, or Russians fighting against Russia. Oh, wow, it's almost like real life. But what was the point? I don't know. And then there was the music. Oh, God, make it stop! Jesus, my ears! What in the whale-raping Satan's asshole is that? Not to mention the whole weird color filters or coloring of the whole game that reminds me of mid-2000s BIS filter. For me, coming from a very beautiful and realistic-looking Battlefield 1 and 5, as little as I played them, still this felt extremely jarring, let alone nonsensical. Why? Battlefield 1 and 5 look just so nice. Why the fuck did you need to tell your artist to color shift everything to blue and green? Yeah, but then again, looking at DICE's past work, this is kinda on par, I guess. Now, as for the story, yeah, you can say that Battlefield's, well, aside from Bad Companies, never really had a story that mattered. But, that said, 2042 almost feels like the fucking Sweet Baby Inc. was consulting them. As DICE was resembling Ubisoft, saying that, oh, our game doesn't have politics. All the while in the background, one of the world powers is fighting the alleged second best Gopnik army in the world. Point being that this Battlefield about war and all that stuff tried its hardest not to offend anyone. And guess what? The reason I'm saying this is because the fucky-wucky only deepens. Because on the launch, DICE decided, well, not specifically to remove, but rather exclude the chat and the fucking scoreboard from the game. You know, so that the bad scrubs wouldn't get their feelings hurt. Jesus fucking Christ, what pathetic cowardice that I've not seen since Overwatch. In the meantime, something unexpected happened. Disillusioned players went back to old Battlefield games. Battlefield 1, even Battlefield 4 got dusted off. But most importantly, Battlefield 5, the notoriously troubled one, thanks to 2042 on Steam, since its introduction a year before, gained the highest player counts ever. And since then, not counting the free-to-play weekend, has consistently had more players than 2042. Now let that sink in. Battlefield 5, a game from 2018 that hasn't received any kind of update or content since 2020, is still, to this day, being played more than 42. Well, that is until the second free-to-play weekend, which is actually taking place as I'm releasing this, but you get my point. After the disastrous launch, DICE and however many studios they had hunkered down to fix the game, even delaying the Battle Pass with the new content. Finally, after months, first steps were taken by returning the scoreboard and some Frankenstein's monster-looking class system with underlying operators. What the hell? Anyways, as well as the chat so that, your team can actually communicate. At that point, some players were returning. After the first 2 years of working on the game and some new content releases, happily 2042 was saved from the brink. But in the shadows, still, Battlefield 5, like an insult to the injury, was more popular. Even after all this work, was 2042 still not good enough? I mean, come on, Portal, despite ending up being basically a glorified XP farm, was a genuinely great idea, and to some extent even more fun than the main game. 2042 and DICE had a recipe for a great Battlefield game in there, somewhere. Then came the first free weekend. Now granted, it's always cool to see games offer these events and everyone enjoys them, but those of us with more critical eyes smelled the desperation. Now regardless of motivation, even the heavy discounts with 85% on the base game, it had an effect. A good effect. People flocked to 2042 in droves, even if it was to just check out what's going on. As a result, even the launch all-time player high number was beaten in this weekend. So yeah, even if it was desperate, it had a great effect. And I was there too. First, I download the game. Okay. I launch the game. Oh no. You need to install EA's Origin or whatever the fuck EA calls its malware today. Okay. I'm pissed already. Then the malware needs to update. It crashes. Okay, I'm fuming. Finally the game launches. It takes forever. Okay, I'm patiently fuming. Finally the game launches to the main menu. A fucking advertisement pops up about the Battle Pass. I'm ready to strangle a bitch. What the fuck is this? Call of Poopy? Oh, and I also almost forgot. Before we could actually play the goddamn game, we had to finish a 13-minute tutorial match against bots. And that was not skippable. And this is just the abridged version. See, the EA's malware didn't want to really cooperate and install either. But today we're talking about Battlefield, so let's just agree to say, fuck you, EA. Okay, so I finally get to play with a friend, and...
Yep, my primary weapon is invisible.
Okay.
So tā būs vēlēts klips, ko ielikt iekšā.
Droši. Nedod spēlē iespēju tev pārsteigt.
Oh, invisible truck. Oh, Jesus Christ, this game is just...
Bugs galore, Jesus Christ. Nē, varētu saprast, ja būtu latency problēmas vēl, tāpēc, ka, tagad free to play, bet, nē, tie bugiem nevajadzēja būt. Kas ir? Yep. Bugs still persist, the performance is still lacking, and the content, well, it's just not that interesting. Even Portal simply feels empty. All the while, my friend is suffering from some truly bizarre bugs and glitches. We both end up highly disappointed, and each of us in very different ways. So fuck Battlefield 2042, we said at that time. And it seems that the people agreed. After the free weekend, sure, it was slower than on the launch, but the player numbers kept on dropping until they were the same as before the weekend. And again, an insult to injury was that Battlefield 5 still kept up the player numbers higher, not counting the weekend, of course. An older game was still more beloved, even after those 2 years of fixing the game? So then, was the work that DICE did in those 2 years not enough? Was the content not enough? And after chatting with my Battlefield hard-on friend, the general consensus is... yes. Well, the content is of course nice. Ultimately, what it is... To this day, even now as the second free weekend is taking place and the Season 7 is released, the class-based system is basically a Frankenstein's monster of operator leftovers that DICE still thinks is a good idea to keep. The Portal, I guess it's okay, but unexceptional, while the new content added, especially the maps, well, all of it is kinda crap. Of course, 2042 is too big to fail, with EA's mighty corporate schlong keeping this ship upright through sheer power of money. But that's just kinda it. It's not a real Battlefield game, or at least it doesn't feel like it. Sure, it could have one of those Battlefield moments, but all along the way, I think it just simply lost its identity. And the fact that it's been super buggy up until this point, and maybe even beyond, doesn't help a bit. See, that's the saddest thing. It could have been a grand slam thanks to the genuine love for the fanbase, the Rendezvous homage and other little things, not to mention the genius of the portal, at least in the idea. But in practice, everything turned into sand in everyone's mouth when DICE seemingly wanted to cater to Call of Duty or general casual player crowd, while also trying not to offend anyone, rather than being the best Battlefield game it could be. And that was made even more apparent when Battlebit appeared on the scene. A small, Roblox-looking kiddie's first Battlefield clone arrived on Steam on June 2023 and utterly slapped Battlefield's teeth out by saying, "Bitch, this is how you Battlefield a battlefield!" All the while looking like a rhino's miscarriage. Lacking any good audio design, small dev team managed to, and I shit you not, copy-paste a very basic Battlefield blueprint. Big maps, loads of players, some vehicles, cool guns and attachments, classes, standard squad-based gameplay, voice chat and a scoreboard, decent selection of maps, no fucking microtransactions, battle passes or pay to win, bullshit, and who would have predicted it? It turned out to be a great and fun game despite its flaws. And the player numbers soared and not only beat Battlefield in popularity, but they emasculated it with literally bare bones Battlefield gameplay. There's just no two other ways to say it. 2042 and DICE had catastrophically fucked up, when a little game like Battlefield is more of a Battlefield than the mainline Battlefield game. Sure, today Battlebit's player base has dwindled, but not because the game is bad. It's still great and just as fun. It's simply that developers are hard at work seriously improving it and don't have the time to throw money onto the fire to just keep itself relevant at all costs. These developers are working, and I can't wait to see what they bring out, unlike 2042. The success of Battlebit utterly humiliates Battlefield. See, fans of the franchise just wanted a good Battlefield game. How hard was it not to put in microtransactions? How hard was it not to look over your shoulder at a retard in the playground called Call of Duty and repeat what they do, but to simply improve your own style? But hey, what the fuck do I know? I'm the kind of weirdo that likes Battlebit, right? And that's about it on the failures of 2042. After 2 years of development and course corrections, seemingly nothing has worked for EA and DICE. So that now they have to rely on desperate tactics like literally giving out the game for free to keep it relevant. The fact that the free-to-play weekends still attract loads of players only showcases that fans want a good Battlefield game. But they will only stick around and play the real Battlefield game. And sadly, that happens to be more of a Battlefield 5 or Battlebit than the newest $2 billion mega whale. So, as usual, thanks for watching. So go check out the other episodes in the series. The most recent one was about Skull and Bones, the first ever quadruple A game, according to Ubisoft. So, yeah, I think you know where it's going. But most of all, if you just enjoyed my rants, do maybe click on that Patreon link down below in the description and maybe toss a dead horse my way. Support the work, and as always, remember, it's not hard not to fuck up, damn it. We just want a good game.